Hi guys, welcome to Total Coffee. So welcome to our third episode of how to start a specialty coffee roasting business. In the previous video, we spoke about what all things we need to know to start a specialty coffee roasting business. So now I have a question. So as we are talking specifically about specialty coffee, it deals with direct trade. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the major concern is like I want to connect to the producers directly.
Sure.
How do I do that, and on what basis do I select my green beans?
All right. So that's out in the clear. Specialty coffee is all about direct trade, directly going to the end planter, end producer, and buying the coffee from him. Right. So the idea is to cut off wholesalers, importers, distributors, etc., so that all of the profits that are made between the producer and the roaster is all given back to the planter, so that he can invest more into the farm, he can develop quality, and he can give us a better produce which tastes much more better, right? That's the only way we can motivate a planter to be producing better quality. So it's all about direct trade, right? But there are so many other things that are involved, just not going to a planter and buying the coffees. So I'll mention a couple of points.
Okay.
Couple of things that we need to look for when we are buying green beans. So let's get straight to it, right? So first thing, absolutely. Get your pens out, get your pencils out, get your notebooks out, and start making notes. Yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah.
Good student. All right. All right. So the first thing, so you need to understand what your consumption is going to be. Right. So how do I assess my consumption? So most of the specialty coffee roasters, or all the specialty coffee roasters, have blends, have coffees that they have throughout the year, that is accessible to their customers throughout the year. And there are some coffees that are seasonal. They just have it for 3 months as a limited edition, maybe just for brewing, maybe just for one kind of one style of coffee, etc. So they will have multiple offerings. So you will have to decide what your whole year consumption is going to be. I'll quickly tell you why you need to know your consumption. For example, let's say my consumption of a coffee, which is my house blend or your regular blend or my mass market blend, or like let's say which I want to sell higher numbers, is about 5 tons.
Okay.
So if I go to a planter who is a 2-acre, 3-acre, 5-acre planter, he might not be able to give me 5 tons of good quality coffee that I want. So I probably will have to work with a planter that is big enough to give me 5 tons of coffee that I can have throughout the year and give it to my consumers, right? Because like let's imagine you're a coffee shop, in between you can't change your coffee because your consumers are going to be hooked on one style, one kind of coffee, and you just can't change the coffee in between. And if you give an inconsistent product, the cafe owner might reject your coffee, or your consumer might reject the coffee, right? We have done this plenty of times. The coffee is just not the same like you ordered last time. So you'll have to work with a planter who can give you enough amount of the same coffee for you to last the whole year. Right. So you'll have to understand your consumption for that. Second thing is, you will have to score the coffee. Obviously, specialty coffees have to score above 80. So you need to learn how to cup coffees. You need to learn how to score the coffees sensory wise and also physical analysis. But that's not the only deciding factor, right? So a coffee might score 87. Right? A coffee might score 87, which is fruity, which is bright, which is very complex, etc. But if I go give it to a regular Bangalorean, he will spit the coffee, right? Of course, because South Indians have this palate where they've been used to be drinking bold, chocolatey, caramel coffees. They don't really appreciate acidity. They don't really appreciate mild-bodied coffees. So they want a very strong body, or a bold body. So if a coffee that score 86, 87, they might not really appreciate it. They might not buy just for a fact that it is scoring 86 or 87. So you will also have to look at what kind of a taste profile your consumer wants and your target market. So that's the second thing that you need to consider, the score and also the kind of profile that the coffee has.
Okay.
So that's one. And you need to know, this is the most important one, you need to know your planter's relationship status. Right?
Why are you judging?
So
what does that make sense?
So we are not on Tinder. We are just talking, when I say relationship status, I'm talking about how good the planter is in terms of a business customer relationship kind of a thing.
Okay.
Because if your planter gets too greedy and he decides mid-year, he says that, hey, I'm not going to store any more coffees for you, I'm going to sell it out, and or when you go he says, look, I don't have coffees that I promised for you, you're left hanging. Right? You need to have a good relationship with your planter. You need to make sure you're working with a planter who's ethical and then who keeps up his promises and then keeps delivering to you the coffee as he has promised. Otherwise, you have your consumers hooked on a certain profile, and next year or mid-year the planter says, I don't have any coffee for you anymore as promised, then you will be left hanging and then you will not have coffees to roast.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So you need to find a planter who is ethical, who will keep up his promises in terms of giving you the coffee year on year.
Okay.
Because you're going to market that plantation, you're going to market that blend, and if you don't get access to that coffee, you're stuck.
Yeah. Important point.
Yeah.
Relationship status.
Absolutely. So get to know the relationship status of your planter, right? And you need to visit the farm. You need to look at the quality control measures that the planter has, because the planter might be a very ethical guy, very nice guy. He doesn't want to cheat you and he wants to give you the best of the produce at a good price. But if he himself does not know quality control measures, if he has not implemented quality control measures, unfortunately he will not be able to give you good quality coffee continuously. So you need to head down there and you need to figure out if the planter that you're going to work with has good quality control measures. It could be at the plantation level, it could be the post-harvest processing level, or it could also mean that where is he getting his coffees hulled, the dry mill or the curing works, as we call it in India.
Okay.
Right? So you also need to know where is he getting his coffees hulled, graded, polished, defects removed, etc.
Okay.
So that's one point. And you also need to inspect his storage facilities, because most of the times, let's imagine I have a roastery that I'm setting up in Bangalore or Delhi, where the real estate prices are crazy. I will not be able to invest in a facility that will stock green beans for me for the whole year, because that's a lot of rental. So you will ask your planter to store the coffees for you in his storage facilities. If his storage facilities are not good, then the coffee might get spoiled, it can have contamination, it can have moisture, it can bleach, so many other things can happen.
Right.
So you also need to inspect the storage facilities, right? So that's one point. And then definitely one of the most basic things to consider when you're buying green beans is you need to check the coffee for moisture. It has to be at the right moisture content. 10 to 12%, 8 to 12%. The Indian government accepts 8 to 12. So different coffees have different moisture content acceptable range. Monsoon Malabar has a higher acceptable range. Robusta has a different range that is acceptable. So depending on the coffee, or you can come up with your own standards. You can say, hey, I'm not going to buy any coffee below 10%, no matter what the government says. Regardless of that, you can have your own standard and you can stick by it. So you need to check the moisture and you need to check the number of defects that the coffee has. That of course is one of the qualifying factors for the coffee to become a specialty coffee, right? So all of these things put together is how you decide on how to buy, where to buy, from whom to buy your raw material, that is your green coffee beans. So I hope I was comprehensive enough with what I said.
It was quite explanatory. Hope it was helpful for you guys also. If you think we should discuss some more topics on this, please let us know in the comments. If you have any questions, do let us know there itself. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers. Now I have to go. Bye bye. Bye Suhas.
Oh, hold on. Wait a minute. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. All right. So we have so much more content coming through.
And
so
the bell icon.
all right. As he said, don't forget to click on the bell icon. Ciao, guys.